Akutsu was a worthless, lonely demon sent to school on Earth. However, everything changes when he meets an angel girl but falls for her Riz instead. This story starts on a regular school day as everyone talks about the new transfer student and wonders how good he looks. Just then, the bald teacher walks in and introduces them to Akutsu, who currently looks like Saitama from the Lost and Found. The defeated look on Akutsu's face makes everyone feel pity, but this is a disguise to keep his true identity hidden. The next moment, the teacher notices a tag sticking out of his head and pulls it, but the entire wig comes off. The teacher, who thought Akutsu understood the pain of looking like an eggshell, gets infuriated by the betrayal and angrily sends the fraud to his table. Just then, he spots Lily, a blonde beauty who looks like she literally fell from heaven. When she notices the staring and says hi, Akutsu's meat saber starts twitching, but he eventually gets it under control. Then, he spends a couple of minutes planning an amazing life with her. But just as he is about to ask for her number, the final boss of Simps, named Kensaku, shows up and asks her out. Lily immediately shuts him down, but he continues begging until another classmate named Yuya tells Akutsu that this is Kensaku's daily ritual. They both then take Akutsu to the hall and decide to become his friends, but all Akutsu cares about is baking creamy pies with Lily. After school, Akutsu is on his way home, thinking of a way to talk to Lily, when she suddenly bumps into him. Surprised, Akutsu asks what she was doing in a dark alley, so Lily explains how she got lost before shaking his hand. Just then, Akutsu sees a rip in her uniform, but when he asks, Lily claims it was nothing and asks if he wants to have tea together. This completely throws him off, but he accepts, so they start walking together. Several minutes later, they get to an intersection, and Lily tries to cross without realizing that Truck-kun just lost his brakes. However, just before she gets hit, Akutsu stops the truck with his powers, and Lily sees demonic marks across his face. As people start gathering around them, Lily grabs Akutsu and runs to a nearby park, where she thanks him for saving her life. She then asks what he really is, and after giving it some thought, Akutsu decides to trust her beautiful eyes and admits that he is a demon. He further explains how he came to the human realm to find a charismatic leader for the demon realm because they are currently in a power struggle with angels. They need all the help they can get, so he asks Lily if she would like to occasionally visit the demon realm and hype their spirits for the war. Lily gets nervous and asks if she even has what it takes, but Akutsu assures her that she will be perfect. All of a sudden, he gets wrapped up in magical chains and slammed to the ground. Lily then calls him stupid because he just exposed himself to an angel. After mocking his lack of common sense, she explains how she exorcised another demon in the alleyway just before they met, which is why her uniform was torn. Upon hearing this, Akutsu promises to make her pay for humiliating demons and rips her chains apart before attacking. Lily then admits that he is pretty strong, but she binds him with chains again, making it even harder to escape this time. After summoning a powerful scythe, she demands to know all of Hell's plans, but Akutsu refuses to say a single word, so she decides to finish him off. However, just as he accepts his fate, Lily stops and offers to free him if he becomes her slave and helps her achieve some mysterious goal. She has already prepared a special collar just for him as well, but Akutsu refuses and starts fighting back. Unfortunately, Lily pins him down by sitting on his woodpecker and puts on the collar before playing with a firecracker while Akutsu lies there, traumatized. Minutes later, he gets back up and asks what she wants, so Lily says he has to help her attack demons. When Akutsu refuses, Lily gets surprised, saying she always thought that demons hated each other. After saying that they actually have really good relationships, Akutsu tells her to exorcise him because there is no way he is going to betray his fellow demons. However, as he tries to rip off the collar, he suddenly drops, and Lily explains that the collar depletes a demon's strength and also gives her full control over his body. The next moment, Akutsu's arm moves on its own, but before he can respond, Lily turns him into a shameless simp willing to do anything she asks. When she complains about being thirsty, he runs off to get drinks, and after returning, he tosses them off his abs, saying that they needed a little heat. Lily gets irritated by this and pours it all over him before making him get a throne. She then decides to reward his obedience by granting one wish, but instead of asking for some sloppy top, Akutsu drops on all fours and begs her to crush his man buns with her shoes. While Akutsu desperately tries to regain control of his body, Lily realizes that she has taken things a little too far. Just then, a cop shows up and decides to arrest them, so they both take off running and eventually find a dark alley to hide in. Then, Lily asks Akutsu if he has reconsidered her order, but he still doesn't want to help her attack demons. She then explains that he doesn't have a choice anymore, but when he tells her to exorcise him again, she refuses. She even offers to reward him with hugs after a couple of missions, but the weird excitement in Akutsu's eyes changes her mind. After giving it some thought, Akutsu says he will only be able to tell her if a demon is close by because they can sense each other. Lily agrees and promises to turn him into a model citizen when she is done using him. Akutsu tries to argue again, but the cop shows up again. so they run off. Several minutes later, Akutsu gets back home and crashes into his bed, complaining about Lily's slave collar. However, after reaching for it, he is surprised to see that it's gone. But then Lily texts him, explaining that it is now in his body to make sure he can't get rid of it. Like that isn't enough, it left behind a stupid-looking tattoo, which crushes Akutsu because he planned to flex his abs for the shawties all summer. While he continues having a mental episode, Lily reports to her superior and decides to use Akutsu until heaven recognizes her again. A while back, Akutsu was summoned by his hot superior, Liz, who explained that although angels were actively waging war against demonkind, their people were just casually living their lives like it meant nothing. This was why they needed a charismatic person to rile up the demons so they could fight back. After Liz pulled up social media posts where angels were humiliating the demons they caught, Akutsu became obsessed with succeeding with his mission. Back in the present, it's still late at night, and Akutsu has just finished cleaning up, but while thinking of a way to stop Lily, he sees a romantic show and comes up with the perfect plan. The next day in school, Yuya and Kensaku are chatting in the hall when he makes a dramatic entrance, looking like the guy your girl dreams of at night. Surprised, they ask how he got so hot, and Akutsu claims he just decided to switch things up a bit. Just then, they tell him that Lily just walked in, so Akutsu locks in because he actually spent the entire night perfecting his looks just so he could make her fall for him. After a quick breath, he turns to say hi and gets blindsided by her beauty because Lily apparently had the same plan. Last night, she also saw the show and decided to turn herself into an even hotter baddie just to make Akutsu obsessed. However, after he casually says hi, Lily's heart flutters as she never expected him to look good. Just then, they both start to suspect each other, but they ultimately decide to keep going until one of them folds. Minutes later, in class, Akutsu drops his eraser, hoping to melt Lily's brain with his touch, but when she responds with a cute, flustered smile, he takes the first L. However, as she celebrates, he picks something from her hair with enough rizz to make the water fountain gush. Lily folds immediately, but a couple of hours later, the teacher tells her to carry some notes to his office. She takes the opportunity to ask Akutsu with a cute expression that almost knocks him out. However, Akutsu responds by revealing his guns and carrying all the notes, which makes Lily's plot armor soak. As the day progresses, they continue the flirt battle until Lily takes a bold step by tripping and falling right on Akutsu's glizzy. This folds the wannabe player completely, but the teacher finally notices and sends them both out of class. Later that day, Lily gets pissed because she has been waiting for Akutsu, so when someone taps her shoulder, she flips out before realizing that it's just two worthless creeps. When they ask Lily to hang out, she cutely says she is waiting for a friend, but they keep persisting until Akutsu shows up and puts on his boy charm while telling them how fragile girls are. As the idiot continues yapping, Lily grabs a statue and cracks his skull, which scares the creeps away. While following her, Akutsu notices that she really came prepared for a demon hunt, and when he asks why, she explains that it's her first time going out with someone. He then notes that she looks a lot lighter than usual, but this rubs off the wrong way. However, Akutsu barely notices and continues running his mouth until Lily threatens to use the collar to make him kiss the homeroom teacher in front of everyone at school. As she storms off, Akutsu remains oblivious to the civilians taking videos of his humiliation because he is thinking of a way to help Lily without betraying demons. Moments later, she explains how there have been multiple reports of dog attacks on women, and she suspects it's a demon. Akutsu says she shouldn't be so sure, but Lily insists on it and shows him a map highlighting all the attack sites before asking how far his demon sensor can reach. After he explains that he can only sense powerful demons from a distance, Lily calls him useless. Right then, Akutsu senses a deadly glare, but he tells Lily it's so she starts the search. Hours later, they decide to take a break at a nearby restaurant, and as Lily stuffs her face, Akutsu jokes about how she won't be able to see her own kitty if she keeps eating like a walrus. As she starts threatening him again, he senses the same dark presence watching them and finally tells her about it. However, as they try to figure out who the demon is, Kensaku starts banging his head on the glass while crying about how Akutsu is on a date with his lifelong crush. Minutes later, he apologizes for misunderstanding, and Lily assures him that she was just showing the newcomer around. After Kensaku admits that he has been stalking them all day, Akutsu realizes that he is responsible for the creepy presence he was feeling. Then, Kensaku says he was actually out with someone else. But before he can leave, a chick named Yuka walks in and asks why he won't spend time with her. Kensaku then tries to introduce Akutsu and Lily, but after taking one look, Yuka calls Lily a midget. Naturally, she gets pissed, but manages to control her anger, while Yuka greets Akutsu like a regular person. When Kensaku tries to explain their relationship, Yuka claims she is his girlfriend, which surprises everyone. Lily then asks Kensaku why he kept asking her out if he already had a girlfriend. Her words crush Yuka's soul, so she demands answers and drags Kensaku away. Moments later, Akutsu starts wondering if Kensaku's jealousy is what he was actually sensing. Just then, Lily decides to call it a day, and after reminding him that it's pointless to keep secrets from her, she leaves. The next moment, the demon appears but hides itself before Akutsu notices. Later that night, Akutsu experiences a dream where Lily makes him exorcise a fellow demon with her. The next day, in class, Yuka suddenly shows up to talk to Lily, which catches her off guard. After apologizing for yesterday and saying that she is actually Kensaku's childhood friend, she asks if they can be friends, and Lily agrees, while deeply regretting every word. The moment Yuka leaves, Akutsu tries to check on Lily, but she is boiling with rage because Yuka is making remarks about her height. Much later, on the roof, Akutsu is wondering why Lily is now affecting his dreams when Kensaku and Yuya show up and ask if he is okay. They notice that he wasn't in class or the cafeteria, and since he can't exactly tell them about Lily's real identity, Akutsu claims he has been dreaming about some random lady, and it's affecting him. When they both start laughing, Akutsu gets confused, so they explain that he is clearly in love. But the thought of being in love with his arch-nemesis disgusts him. Kensaku then admits that he is not the best at giving love advice, but Akutsu gets surprised and asks about his date with Yuka. After Kensaku says he was just helping her shop, he also explains that he actually gets a lot of shawties, but Yuka always shows up to chase them off before he can crack. Much later, Lily sends Akutsu a text to go demon hunting, but he declines, saying his tummy hurts. After a boring couple of hours, Lily takes a break and checks on him again, but then Yuka suddenly shows up and asks what she is up to, which terrifies her. Lily explains that she was just spending some time alone, and Yuka claims she was doing the same thing, but then she suggests hanging out together instead. To avoid looking suspicious, Lily agrees, so Yuka starts their friendship date with a trip to the mall. Once inside, she picks an outfit for Lily, but it's several sizes too big. When Yuka teases her about it, Lily realizes that she is just looking for more ways to roast her, so she decides to return the favor by choosing an outfit too small for Yuka's massive belly. It works a little too well, because instead of backing down, Yuka spends the rest of the day trying to insult Lily for being smaller than the Smurfs. However, when they stop by a photo arcade to make stickers with their pictures, Lily's innocence slowly makes Yuka like her company. Much later, they find a restaurant to eat at, and Yuka finally admits that she enjoyed their time together. After Lily also admits it, she assures Yuka that she doesn't have any feelings for Kensaku. Yuka says she will still think of her as competition because she is everything a guy wants. Just then, Lily checks her phone for a text from Akutsu, but then Yuka suddenly remembers that she has something to do, so she leaves Lily with a special treat for little humans like her. Lily gets pissed again, but decides to let it slide since Yuka showed her a good time. As she heads out, Akutsu runs to meet up because she had been sending him goodwill texts all day, and he doesn't want his arch-nemesis giving him a reason to like her. When he finally reaches her, Lily reminds him that he could have just replied, but then he senses a demon again, and she notices. However, she tells him to give her the location and wait because she has to get changed. Much later, she finally tracks down the creepy dog demon. Akutsu waits around the corner while Lily fights the wolf until he asks why she even wants him gone in the first place. Lily says that she heard some dog in the area has been attacking women, so she asks if it's the one doing street crimes, like it's some daily routine. But the wolf says he cannot answer that unless she beats him first. He then switches into his real form, turning into a humanoid wolf, but it's just an underwhelming wardrobe malfunction, which even reduces his stats by 50%. After Lily attacks him for creeping her out, the wolf gets emotional and says he just wanted a nice outfit to go with the summer trend. As he continues bawling his eyes out, Akutsu darts, rubbing his back, but this becomes his worst mistake because the wolf realizes that he is a demon and starts asking why he is working with Lily. The wolf gets confused about why a demon is helping an angel, and since Akutsu can't explain himself, the wolf tells him to attack Lily to prove loyalty. Lily warns that if Akutsu even tries that, she'll deal with him, too. Akutsu tries to stop them by talking about love, but it's clear that the only love they've got is the love for fighting, so they ignore him and continue smashing their faces. He then pulls out a microphone, going into his own freaky mode, and starts saying poems to teach them about love, giving both of them turns to speak, but Lily turns it into a roast session, only saying that she regrets meeting him because he brings her stress, and he keeps going with the poems like the sad loser he is. The wolf watches this and starts to understand what love is, as he realizes that Akutsu is doing all this to stop Lily from attacking him. With tears running down his face, he tells Akutsu to stop hurting himself and handle his own problems. Moments later, Lily asks why he's been attacking people, and he admits that he's always been a sad, lonely loser too. But one day, he started liking leggings and could not control himself, so he began attacking women who wear them. Pissed off, Lily decides to exorcise him on the spot, and as her spell ignites his spirit, he thanks Akutsu for being a loyal demon. However, after the spell, Akutsu realizes that Lily just turned him into a regular puppy. Lily then takes pictures of him and drops him at an animal shelter, while Akutsu is confused about what just happened to him. She then explains that she only sealed his bad thoughts and powers and turned him into a normal animal, and that she does not actually unalive the demons she meets, though other angels might. Akutsu asks about the fight, and she explains that her scythe attacks were not real and that she was holding back, so she could not hurt him. He then thinks about the other demons she dealt with, and she shows him a photo where she drew eyebrows on one because it ruined her clothes, and this changes how he sees her. He always thought angels were cruel, so now he starts wondering if she's different, while Lily says that she wants to eat to regain energy and notices that he's acting strange. Akutsu says that she seems kinder than he expected, and she acts proud, which bothers him a bit, but his words actually mean a lot to her. People always say she's kind, but this is the first time someone says it after seeing how she really is. Sometime later, she's on top of him, about to kiss him, but then he wakes up in class and realizes that it's his teacher, who's mad at him for sleeping, and proceeds to knock the daylight out of him. Moments later, Akutsu takes a look at Lily, and after his heart skips a beat, he realizes that he might be falling for her. At home, he continues thinking about her until someone rings the doorbell. It's Liz, but as she excitedly tries to explain why she came, Akutsu panics and slams the door, thinking he must be hallucinating. However, after checking a couple more times, he lets her in and apologizes. She says she came to give him his winter uniform and asks about his mission, and he realizes that he forgot about it. He then says he found a candidate, but she was too problematic, so he needs to keep looking. And Liz decides to help, but first, it is time to sleep. Akutsu immediately gets excited in his pants because he has never had a girl over, but Liz came prepared with a cocoon to keep her kitty safe from him. Regardless, Akutsu finds it difficult to sleep, and like that isn't enough, Liz starts yapping in her sleep. The next morning, she reminds him that they need to train, which actually means rizzing up chicks to find someone who can become a demon idol, but Akutsu keeps getting rejected over and over again. Liz sees this and decides to train him properly so he can approach people better. He then talks to a girl with a pet and makes up a story about a lost puppy, and she gives him her number in case she finds it. Liz then praises him, but says he needs a different approach for other people because some people hate puppies. Later, he meets Yuka, who makes fun of him for talking to girls, but agrees to go out with him because she is bored. They go to a bar and order juice, but he does not know what to say because Liz did not prepare him for this. When he tries to reach her, he hears her reading and realizes that she is too busy being a geek to help. The next moment, Yuka asks him if he likes Lily, and his goofy reaction gives it away. She comforts him, but when he asks about Kensaku, Yuka admits that she is not making any progress because he won't let her out of the friend zone. After taking a minute to think, Akutsu gives her some advice and actually manages to brighten her mood. Liz then tells him to ask her out, but he hesitates because of Kensaku, and Liz warns him that she'll report him if he fails. So he grabs Yuka's arm before she leaves, and she blushes. At the same time, Lily's at home sick, and when she sneezes, she activates the collar by accident. Later, Akutsu walks Yuka home and apologizes for what happened at the bar, but she tells him not to worry and promises to never tell a soul. After she leaves, Liz appears and praises him before teasing him about what happened. When Lily activated the collar, it made him flirt with the bartender like a creep, desperate for some glizzy. He blames Lily for activating it at a bad time but convinces Liz he can complete the mission, so she leaves. Akutsu then feels relieved and realizes that the training actually boosted his confidence. The next day, Lily gets ready and tries to look as cute as possible so she can win Akutsu over and make him easier to control. However, after getting to class, she gets flustered because Akutsu is acting differently, and now she's the one seeing him as more attractive. Realizing he's also trying to do the same thing, he suddenly touches her cheek, and she blushes. But things start to get annoying for her when she threatens to use the collar to mess with him, and he just ignores it and smiles, so she can't believe he brushed it off like that and decides to switch to plan B. After classes, she runs towards him in the hallway, acting all cute, and asks where the teacher is, thinking it is a solid move. However, he just answers normally with no reaction, and that throws her off because he seems completely unaffected, so she starts wondering if something is wrong with him, but then she sees it still works on other people. She tries again, changing small things like her hair and her uniform, but nothing works on him, and he keeps acting normal no matter what she does. Then he casually says it looked better when her hair was tied up, and that almost gets to her. So she starts feeling nervous and decides to stay away for a bit, thinking she almost fell into his trap. She refuses to accept that she lost, so when he is going down the stairs, she goes after him and runs along the wall before jumping at him like it is an accident, using him to stop her fall. The move works, but not how she planned, because Akutsu catches her hand midair and pulls her in, asking if she is okay. That completely breaks her focus, and she realizes she got countered, so she starts feeling embarrassed and tries to run away, but Akutsu stops her because he wants to take her to the infirmary first. Later, Akutsu is alone, and he is happy because his plan is working, thanks to all the advice he got from Liz. On the other hand, the nutcase of a superior continues trying out costumes until a subordinate walks in and gets traumatized. Back at school, Lily joins Akutsu and explains that it was really nothing to worry about. Akutsu then takes a drink from his bottle, but after seeing how Lily looks at it, he decides to get one for her. The next moment, Lily grabs his, but instead of drinking it, she says this will be an indirect kiss to get his reaction. Finally, Akutsu gets caught lacking, which makes Lily excited, but then he tells her to stop saying stuff like that while hiding his flustered face. This makes Lily fold instantly, but then she realizes that it was part of his plan because he has been smirking this entire time. Pissed off, she decides to actually drink from the bottle, but after getting too embarrassed, she comes up with a new plan and says she doesn't need the water anymore. As Akutsu reaches for it, she uses her powers to split the bottle open, spilling the water all over herself. As she tries to make him fold with her soaked assets, Akutsu quickly covers her with his jacket and tells her to stay warm, as if her efforts meant nothing. Crushed, Lily returns to class and sobs until Yuka shows up to talk. She notices that Lily is upset and offers to help, so Lily asks if she knows how to crush a guy's soul. Yuka then gives it some thought before showing her the perfect idea. Later that day, Akutsu meets up with Lily, but instead of hunting demons, she says they are going back to her place so she can make dinner. Shocked, Akutsu asks if she is being serious, so Lily explains that it's her way of paying him for all the help. Minutes later, they get to her apartment complex, and Akutsu realizes that he has been in the presence of a trust fund baddie this entire time. After they get inside, he starts freaking out, thinking she has evil plans for him, but then Lily comes out dressed like his freaky fantasies. Akutsu finally breaks character and tells her to put on some real clothes, but then Lily shows him that she is actually wearing clothes under the apron. A couple of minutes later, she serves him a plate of pasta, and after taking a bite, Akutsu freezes in shock as he never expected his arch-nemesis to actually have talent. Lily then explains how obsessed she is with pasta before serving the main dish and joining him at the table. After eating, they decide to watch a movie and take a break from teasing each other. But while Akutsu wants to watch an action movie, Lily insists on watching a romance instead. Eventually, Akutsu agrees to watch her movie, but just a few minutes later, he starts regretting it because Lily starts looking hotter. To make matters worse, the movie characters start making out, which activates little Johnny. After managing to keep his glizzy in check, Akutsu glances over and locks eyes with Lily before quickly looking away. She then decides to get drinks, but after standing up, she trips, so Akutsu tries to help, only to end up on the floor on top of her. They both panic, but instead of getting up, Akutsu's balls take over his brain, so he leans in, trying to get a kiss. Surprisingly, Lily calmly submits to his arms, but right before they lock lips, her alarm goes off. The panic snaps them back into their senses, so Akutsu decides to head out, but as he walks home and wonders what came over him, Lily does the same and panics because she might actually have feelings for him. In class, Lily realizes that she can't focus because she spent all night thinking about kissing Akutsu. Just as she decides to lock in for the class, her brain shuts down and she finds herself in a dream. Meanwhile, Akutsu notices that she is asleep and wonders if she is cute while snoring, but her face looks worse than it does in his nightmares, so he decides to focus on the lesson. By then, Lily has just realized that she is in a dream because Akutsu has shown up, and it seems to be some sort of dating simulation. However, her dream starts glitching, and like that isn't enough, she doesn't understand the options, so she just picks one randomly and hopes for the best. While all this is happening, her body is twitching uncontrollably, and Akutsu notices, but after seeing her smile, he keeps minding his business. Minutes later, Lily has just gotten past the first few options, and now she wants to go on a date with Dream Akutsu because she thinks it's the only way to wake up. When he shows up, she suddenly gets embarrassed and can't even look him in the eyes because her face has the same shade as a fire hydrant. After reminding herself that she deals with demon scum like him for a living, she turns to face him, but Akutsu looks even better than when she is awake. All of a sudden, he slowly cups her face and asks her to close her eyes. Lily's heart starts pounding because she knows what comes next, but instead of refusing, she decides to know what it feels like to kiss him. However, a samurai suddenly attacks Akutsu for getting out of shape. Lily immediately rushes to his side, but he yells at her not to cry for him and asks to see her smile one last time before kicking the bucket. The sight of Akutsu taking his last breath crushes Lily, so she starts screaming until Akutsu and Yuko wake her up and ask if she was having a nightmare. After looking at Akutsu and realizing that she is back in the real world, Lily gets emotional before heading to the infirmary to recover. Minutes later, she hears Akutsu's voice and hides under the sheets before he walks in. She then thinks that he is trying to get her alone in bed, but as he reaches for the blanket, Lily Loki wishes he would rip her clothes off and take her to Pound Town. However, after cussing herself out for being so desperate, she crawls out, and Akutsu suddenly asks for her help while opening up his shirt. Lily quickly hides again, thinking he is actually about to give it to her. But instead of going through with it, she wraps him up with her chains and makes him twirl at her command while calling him stupid for thinking she would be so easy to crack. She further mocks him for thinking she would satisfy his freaky fantasies, but Akutsu gets confused and says he just wanted to ask for help with the collar. This makes Lily embarrassed, so she hides under the blanket again. Minutes later, in class, Akutsu asks if there is a way to get rid of the horrible tattoo or the collar. Naturally, Lily tells him to forget about it and asks why he wants to get rid of it all of a sudden, so Akutsu tells her about his dream to visit a beach and sento bath filled with baddies. Surprised, Lily asks if he has forgotten about his mission, but Akutsu says he has never felt this good in his entire life. Since he came to the human realm, meeting new people and having new experiences have made his miserable life a lot better, so he plans to enjoy as much of it as possible while still being committed to his mission. He then says she probably can't relate since she has always been in heaven, unlike him, who grew up in darkness. Lily remains silent, and this makes Akutsu think he just made the worst mistake of his life by saying that. But surprisingly, Lily says she understands him. She also agrees to help but explains that she will only change the collar's appearance. However, after he sits in the chair, she tries to change it, but her powers release a girl who immediately starts attacking with Lily's scythe. Akutsu almost gets sliced like ham, but he manages to evade before asking Lily who the flying psycho is. Lily then explains that she is an anti-demon weapon called an avatar, and she actually placed her in Akutsu's neck while making his collar. This was meant to be her backup if he ever decided to betray her, but the avatar is attacking her as well, which means something went wrong while she was in Akutsu's neck. As they try to stop her, the teacher walks in, demanding to know who who is making all that noise. He also gets attacked, but Akutsu moves him away while Lily uses her chains to stop the avatar. She then tells Akutsu to get the teacher to safety because her chains won't hold for long. Akutsu takes too long, trying to make small talk with a clearly concussed old geezer, so Lily takes care of it by herself. She then makes Akutsu jump into the schoolyard with her, and after the avatar follows them, Lily creates a barrier to make sure she can't attack anyone else. Then, she uses her chains again and tells Akutsu to finish off the avatar, but she easily breaks through the chains, which surprises Lily. After the avatar attacks again, Lily gets a close look at her back and realizes that someone else is controlling it. While she struggles to deal with the shock, Akutsu decides to get a little serious, but the avatar shatters his spine with a brutal kick that sends him flying. However, Akutsu gets back up, but then he sees that Lily hasn't moved a muscle, and the avatar is about to finish her off. He starts calling out to her, but Lily looks into the avatar's eyes with tears in hers and accepts her fate. Thankfully, Akutsu blocks the attack and continues fighting while telling Lily that she can't give up here. This makes her snap out of it, so she comes up with a new plan and tells Akutsu that she is not the one controlling the avatar, so they have to stop her at all costs. Akutsu agrees and starts the attack by blowing up a dust cloud. Then he tries to attack, but the avatar cuts right through his chest. However, that was just a mirage by Lily, so the real Akutsu gets close enough and holds the avatar in place, while Lily purifies the snakes controlling her. After the last snake gets ripped out, Lily absorbs the avatar but passes out right after. Meanwhile, a mysterious lady named Aine is surprised that Lily was strong enough to stop her snakes, so she sends another mysterious dude to check on Lily. Much later, Akutsu places Lily in her bed, and after taking a good look at her, his lightsaber charges up, so he decides to leave before things get complicated. However, Lily suddenly grabs him and asks him to stay. Akutsu gets shocked and thinks she also wants his magic wand, but after he feels her hand trembling, he recalls how dangerous the fight was and decides to wait. He then finds a spot to sit, but helping Lily makes him wonder if he has truly become a simp for an angel. As he tries to figure out his feelings, his doppelganger shows up to talk, making Akutsu realize that he is probably already dreaming. Akutsu 2.0 then tells him to stop playing dumb because it's clear that he has feelings for Lily, but Akutsu refuses to believe this. Then, his doppelganger explains that Lily only asked him to stay because she also likes him, which means that this is the perfect opportunity for him to get some kitty. After taking a second to think, Akutsu agrees with him, but then they see someone moving in the sheets and think she is getting too excited. The next moment, Sensei Baldi jumps out and attacks Akutsu. Meanwhile, Lily has just woken up, and after taking a look around, she wonders how she got back home. She then heads to the bathroom without noticing Akutsu and spends eons getting changed before she walks back in and finally spots the helpless simp still struggling with his dreams. She panics and wonders how on earth he got here, but then she recalls how she asked him to stay with her in the room. Lily immediately decides to wipe his brain clean, but after noticing the cut he got from the fight, she recalls how he risked his life to help her, so she drops it. Then, she takes his hand and asks why he would risk his life for her, but Akutsu is too delirious to answer, so Lily decides to reward him. She considers hugging him since that is what she promised after they first met, but the thought of feeling his arms makes her panic, so she tries to choose something else. The next moment, Akutsu asks for a hug while still sleeping, and Lily panics because she is too embarrassed to do it, but she also doesn't want to go back on her word. As she tries to think of an alternative, Akutsu's dream goes from scary to psychotic because the teacher is now teaching him how to behave like a desperate femboy. While he practices in the dream, his real body also practices, and Lily thinks he wants her to hurry, so she decides to sit between his legs. Moments later, she tries to get up, but then Akutsu wraps his arms around her, which melts the last brain cells she has. She is still struggling to control herself when he whispers a compliment about her smell. But before the intrusive thought can take over, Lily feels his hands trembling. This makes her realize that he has not recovered from the fight, and after seeing the collar tattoo, she remembers his request to have it changed and rewards him by changing it. Then, she feels the breeze coming in and spots the apology note he left after smashing her window. This makes her wonder how he carried her home, and after realizing that he did it princess style, she gets flustered again. Early the next day, Akutsu wakes up and finds himself chained up, so he breaks free before also noticing that Lily wrapped his hand up. After he leaves, Lily wakes up, expecting to finally have the apartment to herself, but she is surprised to see Akutsu in the kitchen whipping up breakfast. When she asks why, he says he needed to eat and her fridge was packed, but Lily asks why he also made food for her. He says it's his way of thanking her for wrapping his hand, and Lily claims she was just doing her job as his owner. He still thanks her and serves the meal, so she joins him to eat before they get ready for school. After heading out of the building, Akutsu says goodbye, which surprises Lily, so she reminds him that they have a class. However, Akutsu says he will be skipping the first lesson to take a shower at home. After Lily complains about the way he said it, Akutsu reminds her that he basically saved her yesterday, but then Lily says he should also be thankful because his collar would have exploded if something had happened to her. Akutsu panics, thinking his life is now tied to hers, but she tells him to relax because it was just a joke. She also tells him how she changed the color last night, so Akutsu grabs her hands to thank her. However, Yuka and Kensaku spot them and think they just finished a night of endless cracking. Later that morning, Akutsu meets Lily at the school roof and asks why she asked for a meeting before class. Lily then reminds him of what Yuka and Kensaku Kensaku saw before he left. She actually chased after them, hoping to explain. But by the time she made it to class, everyone had already heard about the rumor. To make matters worse, they immediately swarmed her and started demanding answers. When Akutsu asks how the rumor spread so fast, Lily explains that Kensaku was apparently traumatized and kept murmuring about what he saw while slowly losing his life force out of shock. Everyone in class heard about it, and of course, Yuka helped fan the flames. As Lily keeps freaking out, Akutsu thinks it's not that big of a deal, but after realizing that every girl in school probably sees him as a creep, he panics because it will affect his mission to find Hell's new leader. With trembling hands, he decides to work with Lily to fix this mess, but when she asks why he is freaking out, he claims it's nothing. Then, she becomes convinced that they can lie their way out of this one. Minutes later, Lily is back in class, cooking up lies to keep the gossip-hungry demons at bay. However, the main problem is Yuka, who is still narrating what she saw as if it were a telenovela scene. Just then, she gets her cue from Akutsu and says she has to get a drink. After meeting him at the door, she fakes a smile and asks if he is okay after what happened yesterday. Akutsu also forces a smile and says he is before thanking her for all the help. However, after Lily runs off, the entire class gets irritated because they easily saw through their pathetic acting skills. As they try to interrogate Akutsu, a classmate named Koyamatsu tells everyone to stop, and they actually listen because she is the smartest manga nerd in class and the only one good enough to see through lies. Surprisingly, she says Akutsu and Lily might be telling the truth because they were both talking like casual classmates, not secret lovers who just got caught. This makes them all believe that Akutsu actually got lost while exploring a condo in Lily's neighborhood, and after fighting some randos, he got trapped in stone until she found him early this morning. This is what Lily told Yuka and the others earlier, so they decide to let it slide. But Koyamatsu suggests that they continue watching the lovebirds in case they slip up again. Just then, the girls begin to wonder how he even got trapped in stone. So Akutsu walks to the window and starts blowing granite off his jacket to make it more believable. With the girls finally taken care of, Akutsu tries to take a breath, but then Yuya shows up with Kensaku, who still looks like he needs a dip in the Lazarus pit. Hours later, during lunch, Yuya explains how Kensaku became a walking corpse because of what he saw. After Akutsu admits that he looks insane, Yuka expresses how glad she is that he is back to normal. Meanwhile, Lily continues watching her suspiciously and wonders why she suddenly wants to eat lunch together. Just then, she feeds Lily, and while the guys are all surprised, Lily realizes that she is planning to expose them again. Just as she thinks Yuka is about to make her feed Akutsu, Yuka does it herself, which catches everyone off guard. Minutes before lunch, Koyamatsu explained that the best way to figure out the truth was to make one of them jealous, and it's working like a charm because Lily is about to crash out. Yuka quickly sits back to avoid looking suspicious, and she also offers to feed Lily, who then fixes her face and says she is okay. Moments later, Yuka watches them closely and starts to think there is nothing going on because they are acting as if nothing happened. However, after taking a closer look at Lily, Yuka realizes that she is definitely hiding something, so she comes up with another plan and asks Akutsu to hang out on Saturday. Happy days later, they are at the mall shopping, but Akutsu is still wondering what Yuka really wants with him. She notices this and swears that she just wanted to hang out while flashing her jugs in his face. Naturally, the milk jugs melt his brain, so he decides to enjoy the date since he doesn't have demon hunting work with Lily. While they continue shopping, Lily starts losing her cool while stalking them, and Yuya thanks her for bringing him along. She then claims that it was just because she is worried about Yuka, but Yuya can tell that she just doesn't want to get caught watching them. That also explains why she invited Kensaku, who is currently deluding himself into thinking that he is on a date with Lily. She quickly reminds him that he is the failsafe in case Akutsu and Yuka don't believe her lies, but then Yuya starts saying that Akutsu is really enjoying his time with Yuka. Lily's heart almost implodes, but Yuya keeps making her feel jealous and enjoys every second of the torture. They spend the following hours following Yuka and Akutsu around until Yuya stops and tells Lily to just come clean about her feelings if she is this concerned by a little hangout. He says the same to Kensaku, but the shameless simp acts clueless, so Yuya wishes them luck and heads out. After Kensaku gets shy and runs to the little boy's room, Lily finds an empty chair to sit and really starts to think about what Yuya said. She then recalls that Yuka is trying to prove that she likes Akutsu, and this makes her embarrassed because she is still trying to ignore how she feels about him. Just then, she hears Yuka and Akutsu coming closer, so she jumps behind the bench. Yuka also spots the bench and decides to sit there, which puts Lily in a bad spot because her cakes are getting soaked by pond water. As she wonders how to escape, Yuka starts asking Akutsu about her. Lily gets embarrassed, but her ears also perk up as Akutsu starts by admitting that he thinks she looks cute. Yuka then asks what he likes about her, and he starts by calling her kind and explaining how committed she can be to a task. By then, Lily's head is just overheated, but Yuka goes a step further by asking Akutsu if he wants to date her. Lily's ears perk up again, but this time, Akutsu says they can never actually date because of personal goals. This breaks Lily's heart, so she leaves, but Akutsu hears the leaves rustling. Thankfully, Kensaku shows up at the last moment, and when they ask why he is here, he tries to explain that he was here with Yuya and Lily, but Yuka goes dark and attacks him. After assaulting Kensaku for a couple of minutes, Yuka decides to call it a day and leaves with him. Later that night, Lily is in bed, thinking about Akutsu, Akutsu, while he also wonders if he really feels that way about dating Lily. Hours later, Lily's fever gets severe, causing her avatar to come out again. The next day in class, word spreads that Lily decided to take the day off to recover, and this gives Akutsu some peace of mind since he doesn't have to deal with her. However, he gets shocked when the avatar walks in and immediately prepares himself for a fight. Everyone else notices, so the boys ask if he knows her, but Akutsu is scared that she might just chop their heads off out of spite. The next moment, she introduces herself as Lilia and thanks everyone for looking after Lily before saying that she came to take classes on her behalf. When they tell her that it doesn't work that way, she tells them not to worry since she can just explain to the teacher. Just then, the old geezer walks in, so Lilia explains her plan to take over for Lily, but he refuses and says it doesn't work that way. When he insists that she has to leave, Lilia hits him with a death stare that reminds him of when she almost sent him to paradise. He then gives her permission to stay, but Akutsu is still terrified, so Lilia especially thanks him for looking out for Lily and tells him to keep supporting her with a menacing look. Minutes later, classes start, and Akutsu keeps staring at Lilia, wondering if Lily sent her to spy on him, or if she just came to finish him off for good. Then, he notices that she has been struggling with a pencil, so he starts laughing until she tries to blow his brains out. Hours later, during sports, Yuya and Kensaku start yapping about Lilia being a baddie, while Akutsu wonders how they would react if they knew that she was a blood-hungry lunatic. Moments later, Akutsu gets into a defensive stance, planning to show Lilia some of that demon's strength. Lily loves, but she smashes the ball on his pickle, and the pain knocks him out cold. Much later, Akutsu is at a bench, wondering why Lilia wants to talk after the murder attempt. Then, she shows up and apologizes, which surprises him, but then she says this is actually about her attack the other day. She knows someone else is responsible, but she still feels sorry for attacking him and Lily. Akutsu tells her not to worry about it since it wasn't her fault, so Lilia joins him on the bench and admits that it is pretty weird for a demon. Akutsu says the same thing about her and also notes that she looks a lot like Lily, so Lilia explains that avatars take on the personalities and traits of their masters, but this doesn't explain how she has massive melons. She further explains that while most masters don't give their avatars self-awareness, Lily decided to be different. However, the main reason she came to school is that she can feel whatever Lily feels, and it is clear that something about coming to this school is making her way happier than she ever was in heaven. She came to see what that is, but Akutsu is still confused because none of this explains why she has been attacking him all day. Lilia then says he is the reason Lily fell sick, and when he asks what she is talking about, she tells him to search his heart. After Akutsu insists that he has no idea what she is talking about, Lilia starts by saying that he has always known about Lily's feelings for him, but he still went on a date with some random chick. Before Akutsu can explain, Yuka shows up and admits that she heard them before asking for a favor. Minutes later, they are outside Lily's apartment complex, and after Yuka thanks them for tagging along, she decides to call Lily's apartment. Using this opportunity, Lilia tries to slip away, but Akutsu grabs her arm and asks if she is running away because Lily doesn't actually know about her little trip to school. Shocked, Lilia asks how he knew, and after saying her face was the obvious giveaway, Akutsu says she has no option but to follow him inside. Minutes later, Lily opens the door and thanks Yuka for coming before also thanking Akutsu like she always does. Then, she gets curious about the girl turning her back and almost gets a stroke when she sees Lilia's face. Minutes later, Lilia serves them some tea, and after Yuka glazes her, Lily asks if she caused any trouble at school. Yuka then explains how famous Lilia already is at school and how everyone was surprised to learn that Lily has a hot older sister. Lilia then says that Lily likes to keep to herself, but since she is the older sister, she starts giving them all the juicy details of Lily's life, like how she starts every shower session by washing her cookie. Lily gets embarrassed and tries to stop the humiliation, but Lilia continues yapping until she threatens to send her back to heaven. Lilia finally takes the hint and runs off, so Lily decides to get more tea and uses that chance to get some air. Moments later, Yuka's brain turns back on, so she tells Akutsu to go help Lily since she is still sick. Akutsu agrees and heads to the kitchen right on time to catch Lily as she almost passes out again. He expresses a bit of concern, but Lily smacks his hand away and continues making the tea, which surprises him. She then asks how his day with Yuka went, and after thinking about it, Akutsu admits that it was a lot more fun than he expected. Naturally, Lily gets pissed, but she also wonders why, since she technically shouldn't have any feelings for him. Akutsu barely notices this, so he continues trying to talk until Lily pushes him to leave. Just then, the fever catches up to her, and she passes out again, only to wake up in her room much later. She sees Yuka, who then explains how Akutsu carried her inside before saying that she has to head out for something important. After telling Lily he's a really good guy, Yuka meets Akutsu in the living room and tells him to keep it in his pants. After wishing him luck, she heads out, but Akutsu starts freaking out as he remembers everything that Lilia said earlier. He then tries to remember what Lily must have seen or heard to make her so upset, and after recalling what he said on the bench, he realizes that Lily was spying on them the entire time. To make matters worse, he has to go check on her since Lilia also left to get cleaning supplies, so he calmly enters her room and sees that she is having a nightmare. When he tries to leave, she grabs his jacket again, which makes him panic. Just then, Lilia Lily wakes up, and after seeing his jacket in her hand, she gets embarrassed and tells him to go. Akutsu refuses and says he will wait in the living room until Lilia returns, and this makes Lily warm and fuzzy inside, but she hides it. Then, Akutsu asks if she knows why Lilia showed up, and he also explains what she said about feeling sorry. He further admits that they are a lot similar, and this makes Lily excited, so she brags about how Lilia is basically an extension of her true nature. When Akutsu suddenly says that there would be no war if all angels were like her, Lily gets embarrassed again. However, instead of returning the favor, she says the world would be over if all demons were like him. Once again, Akutsu says he will be in the living room, and when Lily tells him to leave again, he tells her to depend on him for once. Lily then takes the opportunity to ask if he can hold her hand while she sleeps, because she might have another nightmare. Akutsu gets flustered and tries to refuse, but she reminds him that he just offered to help, so he agrees. As they interlock fingers and get all hot inside, Lilia walks in and asks what they are doing. They both get terrified and try to play it cool by asking if she got the cleaning supplies. After saying yes, Lilia reminds them that she feels everything Lily feels, which is how she knew that something was going on because her heart has been swelling for the past few minutes. Lily panics, thinking she is about to be exposed, and flips out. Later that night, she recalls holding Akutsu's hand and spends the rest of the night smiling. The next day, she meets up with Akutsu again to go demon hunting and offers to get him a treat for checking on her. As Akutsu thinks of what to get, Lily hears a familiar voice and watches in shock as a smoking hot Chad named Zwei walks up and asks if she is having fun. Last night, while Lily was dreaming about Akutsu's chiseled arms, Aina was still wondering how she was strong enough to defeat the snake she used to control Lilia. Then she told Zwei to go take a look, but he reminded her that they needed permission to interfere. Aina told him not to worry because she would put in the request, so Zwei agreed. Back in the present, Lilia is still frozen in shock, wondering why her brother suddenly showed up. Akutsu is also wondering how her brother is so hot, but then his head connects the dots as he realizes that Zwei has to be an angel as well. As he starts panicking, Zwei asks who he is, but he starts muttering, scared that he is about to get decimated by Gojo's low-budget doppelganger. Thankfully, Lily calmly explains that they are just friendly classmates, so Zwei properly introduces himself before asking Akutsu to keep being friends with Lily. As Akutsu thanks the anime gods for sparing him, Zwei says he has to talk to Lily alone since they haven't met in a long time. Akutsu has no issues with it, so they head out, but he notices a sad look on Lily's face. Minutes later, Akutsu finds a spot to rest and thanks his stars that Zwei didn't see through his little panic attack. Then he wonders what Lily must be going through and convinces himself that she should be just fine since Zwei is her brother, not some psychotic dictator. Elsewhere in the city, Zwei has just created a barrier to keep regular folks out because they won't want to see his little sister on all fours for him like he is some evil harem lord. As Lily does her best to look respectful, Zwei commends her on making a friend and asks if there is really nothing going on with Akutsu. After Lily insists that he is a nobody she just likes talking to, Zwei says he doesn't really care, so Lily raises her head up to ask why he suddenly came to Earth. The next moment, Zwei's sword pierces the ground in front of her and almost takes off her head in the process. He then says she has to ask for permission before getting up, or he might just carve out her cute little face. Lily immediately apologizes, so he absorbs the sword and says it would be better to talk with her face up. He then heads back to the bench and says he actually came on behalf of Aina before asking how she defeated Lilia despite the fact that Aina had blessed her. Lily quickly recalls how both she and Akutsu had to risk their lives before she disabled Lilia. Zwei then says that the surprising part was that she defeated Lilia way too fast for someone acting on her own. Lily says that she only summoned Lilia out of curiosity, and when she attacked, she somehow managed to disable her quickly. She also shows him a scar she claims is from the fight to show that it wasn't so easy, but Zwei is still doubtful and asks if that is really a recent injury. After Lily assures him that she is telling the truth, Zwei decides to let it go, which makes Lily breathe a little easier. However, he then reminds her that she was sent to Earth to defeat demons, and although she has been doing it, she only goes after beast-type demons, which makes no sense since there should be a couple of humanoid demons around. When he asks if she is plotting something, Lily assures him that she would never go against them. It's just that humanoid demons are a lot harder to hunt. Zwei agrees and says she is probably too weak anyway, but he still asks if she is planning something against them. He admits that he and Aina have been a little worried about her loyalty, especially because Aina has done some pretty awful things to her. But Lily insists that she would never betray them. Happy Zwei finally backs off and decides to take her word for it, but just as Lily thinks the interrogation is over, Zwei asks if she really lost control of Lilia after the summoning and took her down all alone. Lily says yes again, but then Zwei explains that Aina actually set a trap in Lilia to test her. The trap was set in a way that Lilia would only be summoned if a demon was nearby, which proves that Lily has been lying about stopping her alone. Before Lily can say another word, Zwei charges in and pins her to the ground before threatening to get violent if she doesn't stop lying through her teeth. Lilia senses the danger and tries to help, but she gets chained down. Lily panics, and with tears building up, she prays for Akutsu to come save her. On a nearby rooftop, Akutsu has just managed to stop himself from attacking Zwei for obvious reasons. He tells himself that Lily is definitely okay and turns to leave, but the thought of Zwei's menacing face keeps playing in his mind. This makes him remember that angels have always been cruel beings, and he never should have gotten close to Lily because she is just like them. He then calls Liz to ask for backup, but before he can explain the situation, his conscience pricks him, so he lunges straight towards Zwei. After the dust settles, Zwei is surprised to see him and realizes that he has been watching them from a distance. He then puts two and two together, saying that Akutsu must be a demon since he felt the need to hide instead of saying something when they first met. His decision to protect Lily also shows that he is the demon she was with when Lilia went berserk. After he suddenly attacks, Akutsu narrowly evades using his powers, but then Lily ties him down and asks why he came despite knowing that he doesn't even have full access to his powers to fight. Akutsu says he just couldn't bear to see her cry, but then Lily breaks down and says he should have stayed back because now they can't avoid Zwei's rage. Zwei agrees and says she has to be punished, but then he decides to keep his mouth shut about everything if Akutsu manages to land a single hit. Akutsu agrees and immediately attacks, but Zwei blocks him and counters with an attack of his own. Surprisingly, Akutsu's demon skin breaks the swords, so Zwei commends him before summoning his avatars to pin Akutsu down. As Akutsu struggles to get free, Zwei calls Lily to his side and asks how she made Akutsu loyal to her because she definitely couldn't win him over with her hideous body. Surprised, Akutsu asks what he is talking about, so Zwei decides to show him by ripping up Lily's socks. She immediately drops to her knees, and Akutsu loses it, demanding to know how Zwei can treat his own sister like this. After saying that he hasn't seen anything yet, Zwei picks Lily's skin with his sword and rips it up as well, revealing her true skin under the fake one she created with her chains. As Lily begs Akutsu to look away, Zwei explains that she has always had this ugly-looking crest wrapped around her body. He also makes Lily reveal her wings again and starts laughing at her, which confuses Akutsu since her wings look pretty good. The next moment, Zwei slices her wings in half, revealing that Lily has been using her chains to pretend. He further explains how an angel's wings are proof of their strength, and Lily is on the same level as a pigeon. After he shows Akutsu what a real angel's wings should look like, Akutsu takes another look at Lily. Seeing her look so defeated breaks something in him, causing his demon powers to fully take over. As Zwei continues making fun of Lily, Akutsu sends one of his avatars crashing into a fence, causing her body to break apart. Zwei gets shocked and turns back to see Akutsu, who has completely lost it and obliterates his second avatar. The last two immediately combine their attacks to crush Akutsu's head, but he takes the hit like it was nothing and stuffs them both into the hard concrete. Then, Zwei watches in shock as he sprouts 6 dark, pulsating wings out of his back. He immediately attacks, but Akutsu grabs his sword like a piece of paper and sends him crashing into the wire fence. Upon seeing this, Lily panics and tries to stop him, but Akutsu blazes right past her and attacks Zwei until he starts leaking blood. As Lily starts calling out to Akutsu to stop his mad rampage, Zwei wonders how such a powerful demon exists and why he cares so much about Lily. He then takes a trip down memory lane to a certain day when he tried peeping on Lily to know what she was up to. After Akutsu's punches snap him back to reality, he accepts his fate, thinking this is how it's going to end, but Lily jumps in front of him and tells Akutsu to stop. As she tries to give the boring good guy speech, Akutsu smacks the daylight out of her, which pisses Zwei, but he is too powerless to stop Akutsu. When Lily stops him from attacking again, Akutsu attacks her instead, but she dodges it and wonders why her collar can't control him anymore. While all this is happening, Liz is already making arrangements to come help Akutsu because his call scared the piss out of her. By then, Zwei has just managed to get back on his feet, so Lily joins him so they can stop Akutsu. Zwei then explains that Akutsu's wings store energy just like theirs, and he notices because one of the wings vanished after Akutsu stomped him into the fence. When he decides to take out 4 wings and asks Lily to handle the last one, she gets surprised that he wants to help her stop Akutsu's rampage. Zwei then admits that he wanted to exorcise Akutsu, but something about his power is intriguing. The next moment, Akutsu attacks, but they dodge it and hold him down with Lily's chains. Then, Zwei attacks again, but Akutsu easily overpowers him and shoves him into the ground. However, this was Zwei's plan, so he activates his wings and neutralizes 4 of Akutsu's. This restores some of his sanity, but he is still pissed, so Lily charges in for the final wing. While wrapping it up with her chains, she remembers that she also fought him like this when they first met, but after all the time they have spent together, she can tell that he is a lot more than some blood-hungry demon. After she takes out the last wing and begs him to stop, she passes out. Thankfully, Akutsu carries her and walks over to Zwei, who immediately starts running his mouth again. Akutsu tells him to zip it and says he could hear them working together, so he won't rip Zwei's stupid face apart. However, he promises to go all out if he ever shows up to torment Lily, like he just did. After Zwei agrees to back off, Akutsu turns to leave and thanks Zwei for getting him under control. While Zwei lies there, rethinking his life choices and the beating he just took, Akutsu takes Lily back to her place, but he starts panicking because he can't take her clothes off. As he tries to think of a better way out of this mess, Lilia finally shows up and starts stripping Lily right in front of him, so he runs off. Minutes later, Lilia is done changing Lily, so she tells Akutsu to stop hiding because they need to talk. After she jumps off the balcony and offers him a hand, Akutsu notices the bruise on her wrists and waits until she pulls him up before asking what caused it. Lilia then explains that during the fight, Lily stopped her from coming out to help because she knew what Zwei would do. As a result, Lilia had to watch helplessly as Lily was trembling with fear. Upon hearing this, Akutsu asks about his reaction because he can't fully remember what happened after he went nuts. After Lilia explains it all to him, he gets disappointed with himself for attacking Lily, but Lilia knows he has nothing to worry about because Lily didn't have a single ounce of fear in her body after he showed up. She then tells him that Lily has been suffering since she was little because her family has always been extremely strict. Just to gain their approval, she spent years grinding to the absolute limit, and even then, she was barely acknowledged. Her current position only came after even more years of grueling work and suffering. With that said, Lilia blames Akutsu for ruining all of Lily's hard work. She insists that she could have handled everything on her own, but after she pushes him down, Akutsu gets surprised because she is crying, but it's tears of joy. Lilia then thanks him because his actions have seriously helped Lily. This makes Akutsu a lot more satisfied with himself, since he was worried that the rampage ruined things for Lily. The next moment, Lilia tells him to rub her head to console her, but Akutsu panics, thinking she is clearly delirious. However, Lilia continues asking for it, and after taking a look at her melons, Akutsu starts losing his sense of reason. The moment he touches her head, a camera flash blinds him, and Lilia immediately grabs it to see if the photo came out good. As Akutsu wonders what just happened, she threatens to show Lily if he ever tries to leave. Akutsu then reminds her that she is in the photo as well, which means Lily will get pissed at her as well. As she comes up with a new plan, Akutsu wonders why she is so obsessed with protecting Lily, because it clearly goes beyond just being her avatar. Just then, Lilia tells him to squeeze her melons for juice as a reward for fighting Zwei, but he declines because it's an obvious trap. Hours later, Lily finally wakes up and wonders why she is in a strange apartment with nothing but a shirt covering her sacred assets. After she spots Akutsu brushing his mouth, she realizes that it's his place and thinks he is cleaning up after using her plots for pleasure all night long. Akutsu notices the staring, so he asks if she is okay, and she responds by trying to take his head off. While Akutsu drops in fear, Lily completely flips out and almost chops his head off, but Lilia shows up and assures her that Akutsu didn't see anything. After she finally calms down, Akutsu makes her a cup of coffee and explains how he let Zwei off with a warning. Lily then tries to ask about her transformation, but Akutsu stops her and says he barely knows what happened back there. This makes Lily a bit relieved, but then she remembers that he still brought her to his place and asks if he plans to have his way with her eventually. After Akutsu explains that Zwei might send backup to her place, she realizes her mistake. However, this also reminds her that they are not completely out of trouble. Akutsu, being a powerful demon, makes this a lot more complicated, so she wonders if Heaven will let her off if she claims she was just studying him for information. However, after Akutsu thanks her for getting him back to his senses, Lily realizes that she will never be able to betray him like that. Just then, Akutsu says it should be safe for her to go back home, but Lily refuses, claiming it's safer if she spends the night. Akutsu panics as usual and asks if she is in her right senses, to which Lily explains that she needs to lie low for the rest of the night because angels don't give up that easily. Akutsu complains that there is only one bed, so Lily tells him to sleep on the floor before summoning Lilia to go find some sleeping gear for him. Several minutes later, Lilia is with supplies for Lily and extra sheets for Akutsu, and after she leaves, Lily enters the bathroom for a shower. Akutsu then takes the opportunity to call Liz, but she is busy trying out new outfits for the mission to save him. While Lily spends eons getting ready for bed, Akutsu gets cozy on the cold floor before she finally joins him in the room. Much later, Akutsu has already fallen asleep, so Lily kneels beside him and admits that she was terrified when Zwei attacked her, although she knew that he meant well as her older brother. She also admits that she deeply wished for him to show up, and when he charged and ready to fight for her, she felt so happy and hasn't stopped thinking about him ever since. To show her appreciation, she leans in for a kiss on the cheek, but Akutsu turns over, so she goes in for the real thing. The next day, they both end up late for school, and after the usual banter over who caused it, they run into Yuka and the boys. As usual, Kensaku freaks out because they are walking together again, but as they all talk, Lily realizes that she wants to keep living like this because they have all made her life feel so much better. Much later, in class, Akutsu starts his creepy staring again, but when Lily notices, he tells her that she left her ribbon at his place. After school, she texts him, saying she will come get it at his place because it's the perfect opportunity to finish what she started last night. However, after showing up, she hears him struggling with someone and thinks he is in trouble. The next moment, she freezes in shock because Liz is currently smothering his glizzy with her massive racks. Meanwhile, Zwei calls Aine and assures her that she has nothing to worry about because Lily is still the same wingless weakling she was in heaven. Happy comment who deserves Akutsu's demon glizzy the most between Liz and Lily. If you like this video and want to see more recaps like this, hit the follow button and turn on post notifications.